All right, joining us now to discuss this and more is Ian Bremmer, president of the Eurasia Group and a CBS News senior global affairs contributor. Ian, always good to see you. First of all, let's talk about Iran and what you make of this.
Well, look, demonstrations in an authoritarian regime doesn't usually allow them, always a big deal. Clearly, there'll be a crackdown, and probably a successful one, if it continues. But the reason it really matters is because this gives the hardliners in Iran an opportunity to make the president and the more reformist elements much more vulnerable. It also gives President Trump an opportunity to beat up on the treatment of the Iranian citizens. He's been hardline anti-Iran since day one in the presidency, makes U.S.-Iranian confrontation more likely.
Hardline anti-North Korea as well. What do you make of the latest in North Korea?
Well, on the one hand, the fact that the North Koreans and the South Koreans are saying that they'd like to talk, that the North Koreans are talking about even sending athletes to the Olympics, that's clearly a positive thing. But it's happening in the context of Kim Jong-un saying, I keep a nuclear button right here on my desk that I won't hesitate to use if I need to, if I get threatened by the United States. And Donald Trump is saying, I'm not prepared to negotiate with this guy. So either Trump is going to have to flip and do a 180, or we're entering the most dangerous environment that you and I have ever seen between these two countries.
Staying in Asia now, your group, the Eurasia Group, is out with your top risks of 2018.
Yep.
China remains number one. Everything seems to still come back to, including the North Korean situation.
Yes.
Talk about China.
Well, so for the last several years, we've had a United States that is seen as having less influence globally, in part because we don't want to do it, in part because other countries are doing more in their own backyards. But the alternative has been nobody. This year, we see that China is not only larger, not only do they have a leader that is much stronger and has consolidated more power than anyone since Mao, but also is now prepared to stand up publicly and say, U.S. doesn't want to do it on free trade, I'll lead trade. The U.S. doesn't want to write checks globally for infrastructure, I will. U.S. wants to leave the Paris climate change, I'll get involved. And that makes other countries around the world, even American allies, start hedging away from Washington and towards Beijing.
2017 felt like such an extraordinary year in the news, and yet you point out there was no geopolitical crisis in 2017. You think we're due for one?
Yeah, because we're not fixing anything. You know, I mean, I remember back, the last time we had a big global crisis was a decade ago. It was 2008. It was the economic crisis. We're now facing that kind of instability geopolitically. The United States is the one country in the world that could do something about it, and our response is America first, baby, right? We're not going to take that choice. And so clearly, you either fix it or the wheels start falling off. In 2018, there are an awful lot of potholes on this road, and it's hard to imagine we're going to get through much longer, that's much more sustainable without us experiencing a crisis or two.
Ian Bremmer, thank you.
Sure.